Back with more Bay Sunday now. They say next to the death of a loved one, it may be the next hardest thing to get through. Divorce. From making the decision to move on, enduring the hurt that comes with saying goodbye, and preparing for what lies ahead. No easy chore, but our next guest may be able to help ease the stress along the way. Her new book, Breaking Free, it's a step-by-step divorce guide for achieving emotional, physical, and spiritual freedom. Pleased to welcome Rebecca Zung. How are you?
Great.
Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, my dad says, you know, this getting old thing isn't for sissies, and apparently divorce isn't for sissies either. It's hard, isn't it?
It is hard, but any kind of transformation or transition in your life is hard. Yeah. So, you know, I always say you don't learn from the easy times in your life, you learn from the tough times in your life. That which doesn't kill you, I think, makes you better, not just stronger.
Absolutely. What is it about fear that were just... Why do we fear this change? Why is change such a tough thing to accept?
Well, I think people fear divorce for a variety of reasons. They're afraid they're not going to see their kids as much. They're afraid they're not going to have enough money. They're afraid they're going to be alone for the rest of their lives. So a lot of different reasons to fear being divorced. But I think that the best way to combat that is through empowering yourself with knowledge. Most of the time, once I've met with somebody for the very first time in the initial consultation, they feel so much better. I mean, I've often gotten hugs at the end of the initial consultation because they actually feel better knowing what's going to happen. I think the biggest fear is the fear of the unknown.
And what's the hardest part for someone going through? Is it the decision to follow through the process, or what lies ahead?
You know, I would say I've had this talk with my clients several times that they really have just a finite number of choices, and that is to stay in the relationship. If it's a dysfunctional or unhealthy relationship, or one that doesn't bring power to them, it's a disempowering situation for whatever reason, you can stay in it. You can leave it, but on whatever terms the spouse wants, which isn't always what they want, or they can feel empowered in the process and assert what they want and be able to move forward and create a new opportunity for themselves and a new beginning.
Well, it's almost like a workbook. You kind of take people through step by step and some of the things you're going to face. And what's been the reaction so far from the book?
Extremely positive, extremely positive. One of the reasons why I wrote the book was because I felt that there wasn't an overall guide. There are guides for how to actually physically get divorced, the legal process. There are guides written by life coaches and people like that that show you how to get through it maybe emotionally, but there wasn't an all-encompassing guide. So I wrote the book really because I wanted to create something for that space so that people emotionally could get through the divorce. Also, physically, I do give legal advice because I am a lawyer, and also spiritually, because you can be free from the person physically and still chained emotionally and spiritually. I know people 20 years later that are still so angry, so bitter, can't let go. You know, look what's happening with the Woody Allen thing. It's still going on.
And you got to let it go,
20 years later.
Move ahead.
Exactly.
I have a friend, he's called the rearview mirror theory. He says, see that right there? Throw it away. Look ahead.
Yeah, dig a hole and bury it. Move on. It's time.
And do you inevitably hear this from your clients after they've gone through the process? They say, oh my God, why didn't I do this 10 years ago?
Oh, all the time. All the time. Even in my own life, I can tell you I was divorced once. I got married when I was 19 years old the first time, and I agonized over it. I always say I actually stayed in the relationship probably 5 years longer than I probably should have. And now I'm happily married to my best friend, and we have a great relationship. I would never have been able to have this if I hadn't cleared the space. Right. You know, it's just hard to know when you're going through it that that's what you're doing. And
do your clients have an epiphany? Do they finally say, oh, it's just not working? And what pushes them over the top to finally say, I got to run with this?
You know, I think it's different for every person, because some people they come in and they've been ready to be divorced for years. You know, I've had guys who've come in and say, you know, we've been living in separate bedrooms for years, or separate households or whatever, and they're ready to go. I've also had people come in and say, he wants a divorce, I don't want it, I still love him, he even has a new girlfriend, but I still want him, I still want him, I still want him. And I think, Why? Why do you want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with you? There's no power in that.
Well, I bet you're busy. I bet the book is a huge success. What, 50% of marriages in the United States end up in divorce?
50% of first marriages.
Yeah, and then it gets worse after that.
It gets worse, but apparently we don't get better.
Well, we're out of time. Hey, so nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you'd like more information about breaking free, a step-by-step divorce guide for achieving emotional, physical, and spiritual freedom, log on to Zung, Z-U-N-G, familylaw.com. That's ZungFamilyLaw.com. That's our show. Enjoy the weekend, everybody, and we'll see you again right back here on Bay Sunday next week. Take care.